Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is many a TrueNut, and welcome back to Fallout New Vegas Survivor Mode, back after a week's holiday due to Nuka World. Admittedly, we still haven't finished Nuka World. That's quite a big DLC. There's a lot of stuff there, it really feels like, yeah, very, very large. I think it's actually taken me a bit more time to finish Nuka World than it did to finish Far Harbor, in fact, so yeah, indeed. Very, very impressed over there. But don't worry, we're back here in Fallout New Vegas as well. I wouldn't make you have 2 weeks off, don't you worry. So last time, of course, we did a bit of vault diving. We went into a few of the more valuable vaults, including the really, really bloody dangerous Vault 34. Like, I remember that vault was dangerous, but I'd forgotten just how bloody dangerous. That thing can be utterly, utterly vicious, especially with the rads on, hardcore mode in New Vegas, where Radaway just really doesn't do very much. So yeah, I came actually bloody close to dying just from rads in there. That was fun. And today we need to turn our attention to the faction that everyone's telling us to go and have a look at. And that indeed is the Boomers. And there's some fun stuff hidden kind of in and around Boomer territory. So let's start there, shall we? So of course most people are familiar with how this little quest here works. Basically you arrive at the Boomers and of course their leader Pearl says, hey, just, help out or don't, your choice. But what she really actually means is help out. And the main way you help out is by doing quests for the various people around. That helps your reputation, get up to idolized, and Pearl will decide to work with you and basically join whoever. Well, specifically what happens, I suppose, is actually you say, hey, will you be on my side in an upcoming battle? And she says yes. And she never asks you what side that's going to be, and you never tell her, because of course at that point you could choose to go with anyone. There's still multiple people you could choose to be with. So, yeah, it's a little bit odd that at no point do you ever tell Pearl who to fire on. She just sort of figures it out later. And of course one of the people we can get quests off is Rach right here, so while we're passing by.
Long story short, the power failed a few days ago because giant ants have tunneled into the generator room and set up a nest. I led a team down to exterminate them, but there were so many of them. We lost. 2 killed, 3 wounded. Personally, I think it's more than a savage can handle. But if you want to kill those ants and switch the power back on, feel free.
Alright, killing a few ants, got it.
The ants must be eating gunpowder from the munitions down there, or something. They exploded when hit by a flamethrower. One of us was using a laser pistol. Same thing. Bullets seem okay, just don't hit the artillery shells. Loyal's been working on some kind of weapon to use against them. Maybe you should check with him.
No laser weapons, no flamethrowers, all of that good stuff, lovely. And we can go and speak to Lawler, and we can get a few different quest dots around there. But there's like a couple of little quests you can do with these guys I think most people don't know about. In particular, the Boomer kids have some interesting stuff about them. I can't do all of them because some of it's hidden behind a charisma check, which I may be able to show off here, though sadly I won't be able to do it. Hello there.
Whoa, you're the outsider? What are you doing here?
And yes, I can only tell them I'm just passing through. Now, I believe it's Charisma 7. If you've got Charisma 7, and this is the reason most people haven't seen this, by the way, because anyone who really knows how to play this game will never have Charisma 7. Because even with Charisma 1, as long as you've got, like, high intelligence and that's loads of skill points, you can get, like, speech and, if you were to want it, Bart up to 100. Meanwhile, Companion Nerve is basically unnecessary because even on high difficulties, and even with like JSawyer Mod installed, companions are ridiculously powerful in this game, so you really don't need high companion nerve. Like, yeah, companion's just ridiculous even with Charisma 1, so there's no reason to have Charisma High. But if you do have Charisma High, there's a little Charisma 7 speech check you can do with these guys that basically lets you access, like, it's kind of giving them a pep talk. You can either, like, do something, like, irresponsible, like giving them, like, some chewing gum, or I think drugs as well. I think like there's one of them you can give like Psycho to or something, or like a little flick knife or whatever. So, there's bad things, or you can give them good advice instead, and that gets you a little bit of positive karma. But as I don't have Charisma 7, I can't do that. Or rather, I can't do that except for one of them. There's one of them who's named. Let me just find her. There we go. Lindsay, the only named mini-boomer.
Hey there, mister. Can you help me find Mr. Cuddles?
And who exactly is Mr. Cuddles, Lindsay?
Mr. Cuddles is my teddy. I lost him, and I don't remember where.
And sure, I will look for him for you.
Thanks. Let me know when you find him.
That one's so easy to miss, because, yeah, like, most of the children, in fact, basically all the children but her, if you don't have Charisma 7, as I say, almost no one will, you just go up to them, and, like, they will basically say, hi, what do you want? And you'll just reply, I'm just passing. That is a really good trick, by the way, number 34 over there.
Hey, do you have any toys outside of here? I sure could use something fun.
And that there is the perfect example. So, like, if I had Christmas 7 right now, I'd have more options. So, I could either give him, like, an actual children's toy, which is good and gets you boom reputation, or I could give him, like, I think it's like a little flick knife or something. One of the little kind of crappy knife weapons. You could give him that, and that, of course, is negative boom reputation. But as a result, a lot of people miss Lindsay because they, like, speak to one or two of the children, can't do anything with them, and thus don't realise that there's one child that is actually named who you can speak to. Another reason it's really easy to overlook that is, of course, children do not show up in VATs. So you can't just scan them to figure out that, like, most of these guys are just mini-boomers, but one of them, and only one of them, is actually named. Now, of course, Rachel just mentioned Loyal to us, who's in one of the 2 big hangars, and while you're in the big hangars, this is actually where Mr. Cuddles is located. So right here near where you start, that's kind of one of the doors, and that's the other. So this is the side with all the doors on it. These crates right here, just kind of peek in between here, and you will find Mr. Cuddles. Lovely. But while I'm here, let's also speak to Loyal, because he's got a couple of things for me. First up, there was a weapon for the ants, and second, I'm sure he's got a quest of his own.
I started building a sonic emitter that might do the trick, but it's useless without knowing the exact frequency that would kill the ants.
Ah, but you see, science.
Hot damn, you're right! It's a matter of boosting across those thresholds, not exact amplitude. You're smarter than you look.
Oh, thank you.
If that's so, how about you look into repairing the solar arrays on the roof of the generator building? Nothing too complicated about it, but it's a long ways to walk my old bones.
So that's his quest, just fix the solar panels on top of the generator, and finally, of course, good old Jack here.
So you're the outsider. Lived your whole life out there, huh? Wow.
Now, Jack has a personal problem but won't exactly open up about it. Speech 35 or... Well, actually, I always thought this was just Black Widow, but I've got Confirmed Bachelor and it's showing up anyway. So, yeah, Confirmed Bachelor actually gets to ask him about a girl involved. I don't know if that, therefore, is any of the relationship perks, or if I'm only allowed to use it because Confirmed Bachelor affects men, and he's a man. So I'm not sure if, for example, Cherchez La Femme would allow me to access this speech check. Absolutely no idea, but I'll go for the speech check anyway, because that gets me the XP.
That must be nice. Sharing yourself like that. Not being embarrassed or anything. Red hair and she's the most beautiful woman who ever lived. You'd really talk to her for me? What if she feels the same way? What if she comes here like you did? What if she gets blown up? What if she doesn't like me? Oh, geez. I better just let you handle it.
And we'll get to that in a moment. That's a really bad quest, by the way. Not that it's, like, you know, badly written or anything. It just is a quest that basically involves travelling backwards and forwards a lot. It's kind of like Bye Bye Love. Like, yeah, actually, all the quests that involve getting people together in this game are terrible. Not sure why, it's just a thing. Now, first things first, I see a little person ahead of me there. Could be Lindsay, possibly. Let's see if we can hand over Mr. Cuddles to someone.
Hi again. Have you found Mr. Cuddles?
I'm sorry, Lindsay. Mr. Cuddles is dead.
No, not Mr. Cuddles.
And she just runs off to cry, and you lose karma, and you get boomer infamy. It's a horrible, horrible thing you've done. I hope you feel proud of yourself, you monster. But instead, we're going to hand over the teddy bear. Here, I've got Mr. Cuddles right here for you, Lindsay.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll never lose you again, Mr. Cuddles.
And that gets me straight up to light. Marvellous. So I'm already up to, yeah, the second of the 3 positive things. It goes like nothing at all, up to accepted, light, and idolised. So I'm already almost there. And next up, naturally, we're heading over to the generators, where both Loyal and Rachel have tasks for us. The solar panels are nice and easy. Basically, like, the game prompts you to go to Helios 1 to find spare parts for them, but you don't need that. Instead, you just need a repair of 65. So if I just pop a fixing things right now, I'll be able to do that immediately. There we are, I've got flipping 9 of them. It's just one of those magazines you don't use very often. There we are, so now we just repair without the spare parts, using photo something diddly derpy derp, and we are good. And you should have enough time within a single magazine to go through all of these, clearing all of them up. That is 3... How many other total? I think there's 5 total. I think I see the 4th and the 5th there. So we'll just quickly do that. And what I believe is the final one. And is that, yep, all of the broken solar arrays are repaired, so that's just 5. So now I can just tell Loyal that's done whenever I'm ready. But while I'm here at the generator, of course, we can also take care of the ants. Multiple entrance points here, so you just basically choose the one that takes your fancy. I personally find the easiest way is to go right here by the staircase, because this brings you into, well, it's kind of like the back entrance, I guess, but it kind of opens up a nice, easy opportunity for you. So let's just go in here. Also, they did say, don't use energy weapons or explosions. How bad is that explosion, I'm wondering? Let's just find out. Very nice, and there we go. Very good indeed. That has just used up all of the ammo. I probably should have brought more, never mind. Right, let's get the All-American out. This is actually not a bad moment for it right here, because of course what you've got is you've got a nice powerful weapon with a decent scope on it, which means you can just headshot the ants very, very nicely. There we are, sneak attack, critical on a giant workaround, and that is all we've got for now. Now, the game is of course flagging a whole number of ants and whatever that need to die, but what we were also told is don't hit the shells, or as I've interpreted it, do hit the shells. Because the shells blow up and make a really, really big explosion. And if I hit them therefore when I'm not in the room, I'd say that all works out for me. The shells also do a good job setting each other off. So if I just hit one of them when far enough back, this should do. There we go. That has just done probably a pretty good job. I've done a tiny bit of damage to myself there, but nothing major really. Nice blinding flash, and I'm pretty sure that should have killed at least one of them. Oh yeah, all the ones that were in here have indeed been detonated, though I believe the ones on this shelf you can't actually shoot. They're just kind of decorative, but when these two blow up, it does take out all of these too. Now, a couple more shells over there. Yep, absolutely. Let's just go over to a sniper rifle here and take you out too. Lovely. Nice big explosion there. And now I believe that red dot is in fact above me, not here. So now, of course, we've got that lovely thing we can plant, the little radio frequency thing. Let's just head over towards... Where did you put that again? Here it is. Place sonic emitter. Beautiful. Sonic emitter here. And now just turn that on. And that will kill us some ants. There we go. We get ourselves a rather odd little kind of VATS death scene because we killed a lot of ants. Bug Stomper rank 3. 305 XP because we do actually get all the experience for killing. I just also got kill them again with guns. So the game sort of like attributed those deaths to a gun. Intriguing. And that has in fact got rid of all the ants for me. Very, very nice and easy indeed. And that means I can turn on the generators without spawning in a whole bunch of ants. That's not the point, is it? No. It's the one next to the massive switch. Lovely. So, 2 generator switches go on, and then we've just got to hit the power switch, which is up there in a second. Then before we go up that way, because I'll be kind of leaving that way, just remind myself if there's anything useful here. I know there's a bunch of stuff around here, including there's a mini nuke. Don't want to take that. Weighs 3. Light, I believe, next to Fallout 4. I think they weighed... Do they weigh 10 in Fallout 4? I also swear they're bigger. That looks relatively small next to, like, you know, the mini nukes you find in Fallout 4. I think they changed the size a little bit. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's just head up to the big switch up here to restore the power because the generators are on. And that means just flick the switch. And we have got ourselves some light. Beautiful. There we go. And my dehydration level is increased. These must be very, very powerful hot lights. One thing I've always liked about this level, by the way, in terms of the designs, of course, there's a couple of little breaks here. Now, these are not the easiest jumps to make. You can make them, but, like, you've got to be a little bit on the careful side. You can see that, like, you kind of just make those. But if you mistime it, you will fall and take damage. And obviously, the ants can't make the jump. So if you're in trouble and being pursued by ants, there's nothing to stop you taking a daring leap, but you do actually have to time it correctly. So there is an alternative way around, but you do actually have to have, you know, some modicum of skill to pull it off correctly. Anyway, there's a bunch of really good stuff in here, including a few more warheads. So if you feel like kind of just blowing up all of the ants, there are more of those up here. So those do a good job clearing out the ants in this area. But what you really want to be paying attention to is the boomers in this front room. You can make yourself a lot of money off these guys if you happen to have the spare carry capacity for it. So this guy is, of course, carrying, right there, one pretty powerful rifle, as well as separately on his body having one grenade launcher. That's a lot more valuable. Grenade launchers in, like, even decent condition are worth a lot of money. Then the next room over, we've got another boomer as well. Again, similarly well armed. In particular, combat knife, very, very good, and another grenade launcher. I'm just going to merge those two together just to make the value a bit higher. Oh yeah, that'll do. One grenade launcher, 12 weight, 2,500 value pretty much. Spot on. I also really like, by the way, of course, how what Rachel tells you is perfectly borne out elsewhere. So she says that, like, you know, there was a disaster here, they lost 2 and 3 were wounded. What do you find? You find 2 boomer corpses, well armed, who are clearly retreating because they're kind of on the top floor trying to get out, as well as ants in the same room. And what do you find in the infirmary? 3 wounded. Like, what you find elsewhere perfectly matches up with the story. Just a great example of really good attention to detail in New Vegas. And don't worry, I'm not going to forget, there is a unique weapon in here. I always forget to show the bloody thing off. Southeast corner of this room, right next to where you put this thingy down, between 2 broken down generators, is a skeleton. So of course this doesn't count towards the boomers that we know died here, because this is clearly pre-war, and there is indeed a very powerful 40mm grenades here, next to Thump Thump, a unique weapon. Thump Thump is the very epitome of a perfectly solid, workable weapon which you will forget about just because it doesn't have anything particularly special about it. I like the design, I like the fact it's got Thump Thump written on the side, I like the fact there's a little cartoon beaver holding Thump Thump actually on the end of the gun there. That's actually quite cute. I've always thought that's a nice little touch right there. But yeah, it's basically the upgraded unique variant of the grenade rifle in this game. It's, you know, better than grenade rifle in every way. It's basically got all of the mods you can get for the grenade rifle installed on it already. It's got greater radius to it. It's more durable, so it wears out more slowly. It even weighs a little bit less too. But it also just shares the limitations of the basic grenade rifle, which is it just doesn't hit hard enough. Like, when you pick it up in this game, there'll be grenade rifles basically in the same area on the boomer corpses. If you just kind of quickly look at this thing, so yeah, damage 65 on Thump Thump right now, DPS 28, but ignore DPS, it's hard to calculate DPS on a flipping weapon like this. The grenade launcher, meanwhile, is doing, well, DPS 45, but damage 81. And the grenade launcher has 4 grenades in a clip before it needs to be reloaded, whereas Thump Thump needs to be reloaded every time. There's not really much reason you'll be using Thump Thump at this point. It just can't really kind of stand up with the big boys of the Explosive Weapons Club that you'll already have at this point in the game, unfortunately. Anyway, let's go and report into Rachel, because we have indeed done the job she asked us to do.
I'll tell Loyal to send someone down to clear out the eggs and repair the generators. Good work.
I literally killed 2 ants. And then I put down the radio, which Loyal developed for you. Level up anyway, that's nice. Level 23. Now, just a little bit of survival, a little bit of sneak, and a little bit of energy weapons, I would say. Marvellous. Frustratingly around here, as far as I'm aware, you can't actually get, like, an easy source of clean water. Even though, like, the boomers do have agriculture over there by their camps and, like, have crops and water pipes and tanks that are clearly producing water. As far as I'm aware, there's no actual kind of point you can drink out of, so that's a bit of a shame. And back to Loyal to give him the good news about the generators as well. Loyal, I saw you coming this way, don't try and hide from me.
An impressive piece of work. I'll keep that in mind if jobs come up in the future.
Beautiful, and yet more XP. There's so much XP being thrown around in the boomers. You just get a ton of level ups out of it if you kind of come here low level. And sadly, no matter how many times you ask, you cannot get into the VR pods in the mess hall.
No, those aren't for outsiders to use. Leave them alone.
There have been many stories about, you know, ways that you can get the boomers to let you use the VR pod, you know, all sorts of myths and tall tales on the internet, but nope, never can be done, even if you pass this speech check.
Well, if you genuinely care so much, they're flight simulators. If you don't know our history yet, you should see Pete and get the tour. We dream to one day rule the skies.
But nope, no VR pod pass. And there we are, up to Idolized. Marvellous. You don't actually need to do everything for these guys. In fact, like, I've just done it even though I haven't done a couple of the main quests. And if I didn't even want to do those quests, or if I'd failed them or whatever, then basically Jack is asking for scrap metal. I could just give him scrap metal forever. Rachel wants missiles. I could give her missiles forever. So basically I can convert money into boomer fame really easily, because you can just, like, go and find missiles or buy them. Lots of places are selling missiles all over the shop. The gunners sell absolutely tons of them. And I can just hand those over to Rachel for Boomer fame. So, like, there's no shortage of ways to get your fame up. But if you just do the main missions, then you hit idolized very, very quickly anyway. Actually, now I think about it, hello, does your sink work by any chance? Your sink or your toilet or... Ooh! It does as well. Perfect. I can have a nice drink here. Lovely. So, yes, while they don't actually have, like, yeah, you can't take a drink from the crop water outside, the sinks inside the huts, apparently, well, one, you can drink from them, and two, there's not even any rads. Lovely. Well, I'm feeling much more refreshed now.
I believe the time has come for you to show your value in full. The people have come to accept having you around. Find Loyal and ask him about our people's fondest dream. He will tell you what to do next.
I love how Pearl acts like this is some sort of mystery where you've got to kind of, like, earn the right to learn about the bomber. When, like, you know, Loyal will mention the bomber to you. He just did. Pete actually has the bomber in his mural and specifically says that's the plan, but Pearl is still acting like it's a big secret. It's slightly ridiculous. Before I head back to Loyal, though, you know what? I'm feeling nice. Let's go over to... You're the schoolhouse. Yeah, you're the schoolhouse. Let's head into the medical area and heal these guys as well. You know what? We'll get proper closure on the whole ant situation. Quick Today's Physician, another magazine I'm just kind of stockpiling without ever really needing for anything. And let's just help out you. Yep, perform the operation. I totally can do that. I've done something to your leg. Wait, did I just say... No! I didn't even need to take off your leg. Marvellous. And finally, medicine 6 to your high. Yep, I'm totally doing that with the magazine. There you are, Argyle. I've done your job much better than you ever could.
If I haven't said it before, Outsider, let me say it now. Welcome to Nellis. Word from Pearl is that you are to be greeted as a friend.
Yourself? Oh no, there's no medicine to spare. Well, dear, oh dear, the wheel turns, doesn't it, Argyle?
You've done right by us, so I suppose I could spare some supplies.
Now that's really interesting, actually. I hadn't really actually realised that myself in the past, or if I did know it, I'd forgotten about it. Yeah, when you first speak to him when you first arrive, then Argyle will not actually sell to you, because he says, well, we need the medical supplies for us. But once you've cured all the people in his clinic, and thus there's no pressing medical emergencies, he's actually willing to start selling. That's nice. And once again, back to good old Loyal. Yeah, the Boomer quest in general, there's a lot of running backwards and forwards in it. Loyal, tell me about the plane you've already told me about, and so have several other people.
Pearl sent word saying it's all right to tell you about the lady in the water.
It's a bit late to be using code words, Loyal. The last time I spoke to you, you already talked about the plane.
A long time ago, long before the war that killed just about everything that ever lived, a bomber crashed not far from here. A bomber was a flying contraption that could drop explosives down on anything it flew over. Since I was a young man, I've dreamed of raising that lady from the lake and bringing her back to life. What do you say?
I would be glad to do it if you would trade me some sort of underwater breathing mechanism by any chance. And would you believe Jack can help me with that?
Have you seen her? The redhead of my dreams?
No, we're focusing on more important things right now.
I just need some parts from a pressure cooker to create a hermetic seal for the rebreather.
Ah, no, but you see, science.
That's a brilliant idea. I can put that together right now. Here you go. A new rebreather.
And this thing is amazing, of course. I love the rebreather. Once you've got the rebreather, by the way, there's basically no reason to ever use anything else, because most glasses don't give you any benefit. The lucky shades you can get from getting well liked by the Legion are a rare example that give you +1 luck. But in all fairness, compared to, say, Fallout 4, luck in this game is not so desperately important, especially when there's so many bits of armor that can give you kind of plus critical chance, which can give you a much better impact on your chance of getting critical hits. But the rebreather gives you damage resistance. Now that's not so important under the JSawyer rules, because lots of things give you damage resistance here, like the lucky battle armor I'm wearing is already giving me 12 damage resistance and 18 damage threshold. In the base game, almost nothing gives you damage resistance, and damage resistance is basically percentage of incoming damage reduced. So basically, if you can have something in what your glasses locks, you can't wear glasses and be using the rebreather, then you may as well wear this, because that is... Well, it's not showing it right now. It's not showing it there, but you can see it at the top, because if I put the glasses on, and hang on, just a second. Why? Okay, now it's showing it. The interface is a bit glitchy sometimes in Fallout New Vegas. Yeah, it is damage resistance up. So now every shot that's incoming gets reduced by 15% instead of 12%. So genuinely, very, very worth having. So kind of, you know, you may as well just have this on, really. Plus, I think it looks kind of cool. It's kind of a nice thing to have on in the wasteland. Probably very, very useful. Arguably hinders your chance of speech checks if you go up to someone going, Unfortunately, that's not represented in any way in the gameplay. You can just go around passing speech checks anyway. That would be a really nice thing, by the way. That is actually something the rebreather should do. It should give you, like, you know, the damage resistance and water breathing, but it should actually give you, like, -10 speech. Actually, it should give you something worse than that. It should give you, like, -20 speech, because, yeah, you're blatantly mumbling, and that should make you much, much less good at passing speech checks. That's nice. I should see if there's a mod for that. So before we head to the bomber, we do, of course, have the small issue of Janet, the redhead that Jack was after. Hello, Janet.
You should go talk to Blake or Alice. They handle most of our contact with visitors.
Would you believe I've been inside Nellis and there's a young man there who has a crush on you, and would you believe she just happens to have a crush on him too?
Nice-looking blonde boy? I always wondered if he was watching me back. What's he like?
Oh, utterly dreamy.
Really? That's so sweet. I'd love to go meet him. Is there any way the boomers would let me visit Nellis?
Abso-flipping-lutely. You have permission. They absolutely know you're coming, because I think most people haven't seen this ending to the quest, or rather this way to fail the quest. And you know what? We're already idolised. We've already got the main quest going, so we don't need to worry about that. Yeah, Speech 55, you've got permission. You can just go along. It's fine.
Really? Thank you so much. I'll get going right away.
Now, the weird thing is, if you do it this way, that's karma loss, by the way. I hope I'm not evil. No, we're good, still neutral. Yeah, if you do it this way, she does literally just go. If you ask Pearl for permission, interestingly something different happens. And that is that she says, oh, I can't go, I've got this debt to the company or something, or I've been overpaid wages and I'd have to pay them back and I can't afford to, or something. Then you have to go to Alice McLafferty and, like, either kind of do a tough speech check on her or kind of pay off some of the wages yourself, something. In fact, I think it actually might be a barter check. I'm not sure. I think it might be. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yes, if you actually just lie to her and say, yeah, you've got permission right away, that interestingly doesn't happen, which is kind of odd. Instead, she will literally just run at full pelt straight over to the boomers, and this can cause trouble if you actually are not well liked by the Legion, by the way, because around here is a Legion hit squad spawn area, so she can run straight into the Legion and die straight away, because I believe she is NCR aligned, because of course she is part of the Crimson Caravan and they are indeed NCR aligned, but instead she will just sprint right over there straight away, and I haven't actually told the howitzers about her arriving, so guess what's about to happen to poor old Janet? Well, first, interestingly, she's going over to a chem addict. That was odd. I've never really actually followed her before, so I don't know why she just did that. I also don't know why she's going the indirect route. She's following the train line. Now, you can go this way to kind of approach from a slightly different angle, but it doesn't actually make any difference. This isn't like a secret shortcut or anything. The only secret shortcut that's slightly advantageous is to go through the train tunnel if you go past Raoul's shack. But in a moment, she will bear to the left and straight into the firing range, and bad things will happen. Go on, Janet. No, go on. Nothing stopping this from happening. There she goes. Better keep my distance, by the way. And any minute now. Oh, yes. Here come the explosions. And, yep, just stay back. I think she's dead by now. Yep, there we are. I've just failed young hearts, and a car over there is catching fire. Lovely. Now, where's... Yep, definitely catching fire. I'm not sure how that car hadn't blown up previously. But yeah, some of the actual vehicles around here are technically not yet exploded, so they can explode, even though this area's, you know, supposedly been bombed to hell every time anyone's come close. But just somehow they didn't get that one till now. And hello there, Janet. And, of course, really nice touch in her inventory. Of course, she says, you know, I've been watching him through my binoculars, and he's been watching her through his binoculars. If she dies, she has binoculars on her. Because of course she does. She said she has binoculars, so she does. Attention to detail. That's one of the things that makes New Vegas amazing. I don't think I've ever killed Jack to verify, but of course, if she's got binoculars, I'm sure he does too. Let's go tell Jack the good news. Also, there's her arm. Actually, this works just fine. He said that she was the love of his life. This way I can bring him a hand in marriage. Well, I've just been searching Nellis fairly thoroughly, and I can't actually bloody find Jack. I don't think failing that quest despawns him, because, of course, that's not the only quest he's involved in. He's also involved in the unmarked quest to hand over scrap metal in return for boomer reputation. And on top of that, of course, if you happen to have killed Janet before getting the rebreather, you need him for the rebreather as well. Not to say he's essential. There's no such thing as the essential or immortal tag in the whole of New Vegas, of course. That's what makes it so beautiful and wonderful and open. But, yeah, I don't know where he actually is. We'll see if we can find him later. In that case, let's head over to Lake Mead. Now, I've said before, and I'll say again, that Lake Mead is a little bit disappointingly empty. But there is probably a little bit, albeit only a tiny bit, more in here than people actually expect. And of course I'm wearing the rebreather at the moment, so I've got infinite oxygen. Very, very nice. But no Lake Mead monster, of course. That is just a reference to the bomber surfacing after you've attached the ballast. There is sadly no monster. And I've never even found a good mod. Like, the mod I wanted to put in this week was I wanted to, like, add in a Lake Mead monster. And while, like, some people have done, like, something of that nature, no one's ever really done a good one to my mind, which I think is a terrible, terrible shame. Anyway, what we're passing underneath right now is a little just kind of area, hello there, where there's a bunch of lake lurks on a little platform. There we are, the scavenger platform. There's honestly not much here. It sometimes spawns lake lurks, but it would appear on this occasion I've been a little bit lucky. But yeah, there's some alright loot in here, to be honest. In particular, one of the copies of the Wasteland Survival Guide. Very, very few of these floating around the Wasteland. I believe 4 in total, if you've got all the DLC, because I think one of them's in Lonesome Road. So you do indeed have yourself one copy of the Wasteland Survival Guide there. That, at the bare minimum, is welcome. And you'll see also there, if you're still collecting the star bottle caps, you've got one of those. But as you can see, now that I've already kind of done that quest, when I pick up star bottle cap, it just reads as a normal bottle cap. That area checked off, we can head towards the bomber, though that isn't actually our destination. Instead, the bomber is simply a good starting point for finding really the only other thing of any interest whatsoever in Lake Mead, which is well, I'd hesitate to call it a mini dungeon, but it's something, and given how empty Lake Mead is, we have to take what we can get. So you can see there that we do indeed have the bomber right ahead of us, but very close by to the bomber you'll see there's also another little tick on the compass there. So let's just quickly find the bomber. There we are, producing a little bit of oxygen and bubbliness, lovely. But over here, quite close to the edge, and a little downship that obviously has nothing in it, we have got ourselves the Lake Mead Cave. And the colour scheme mysteriously changes in here. The game's very generous, by the way. There are little pockets of air, so you can actually do this. Even you'll find in here include a whole bunch of just basic Sunset Sarsaparilla crates. So if you want Sunset Sarsaparilla, of course there's a chance that spawns star bottle caps. So again, if you're collecting star bottle caps, this could be a good location to just pick up some extra. Though, to be honest, there's no shortage of star bottle caps or indeed Sunset Sarsaparilla in general in this game. Instead, you're just going to be looking for this little tunnel that goes deeper in. Again, this is all doable even if you don't have flipping rebreather, but it can be a little bit nerve-wracking swimming down a tunnel with no idea whether there's going to be oxygen on the other side. But what you really want is in this room at the end here, broken down bits of metal, clearly a crashed car, and just a little bit deeper into the cave. If I head up so we can get a good visibility of it, near these kind of pink glowing things, we do indeed have, well, what I assume is a casino robbery gone a little bit wrong. Couple of people here who are holding a Lads Life magazine, a whole bunch of chips. Though I don't believe you can actually pick these up, can you? I'm not sure they're like... No, they're not assigned to a particular casino, so you can't pick them up and gamble with them, which is a terrible shame. Obviously, they've got themselves a bit of ammo as well. A suitcase full of pre-war money. I mean, maybe I'm judging these people harshly. Maybe they were just gambling, you know, perfectly normally and legally and legitimately, but I can't help but notice an ammo case, so also maybe not. That's literally all there is in the Lake Mead Cave as far as I'm aware. It's a little bit disappointing in some ways that, like, you know, there wasn't something more interesting put here, because it's not exactly out of the way, but unless you've got the rebreather, it's quite hard to access. So it would have been nice if they'd rewarded people exploring this deep in with some form of unique weapon. Arguably, I think this would have been a nicer location for Vance's machine gun than just being basically handed over to you pretty much for free by those two people north of Vegas. Anyway, that done, back out to the bomber. That needs to be raised, and of course we're now almost done with the boomers here. Hello guys. And package number 1, right here, attach the ballast, and the same round the other side. Not sure how this thing is still kind of like leaking oxygen, by the way. Like, produces a lot of bubbles, like it's, you know, leaking oxygen. But this thing has been under the water for literally centuries, so not convinced it really should be, to be honest. It's, you know, an interesting idea that doesn't really stack up to scrutiny. That is done, and now we just need to go and trigger the detonator and bring this thing up to the surface. There is conveniently some nice land on which to do that very, very close by. Yeah, the game's a bit kind of sniffy, by the way. I think, like, you have to, because the game wants to, like, you know, make sure you're standing in the right spot to trigger it. So, in a moment, the game will tell me Loyal's detonator is beeping. Hang on. There we go. So, until I'm standing in that exact spot, the game is just, yeah, there's the cazadors. You cannot actually cause this thing to rise up. But now we are here. There we go. You didn't really need to do the dramatic gun action there, John. That was a bit OTT. And there we are, bomber floating in the lake. Good news, Loyal, job is done.
It's going to be a...
And with the bomber raised, we go and say hello to Pearl to finish things off, but not before I need to drink from your sink. Sorry, I'm a little bit on the thirsty side. There we are, I feel much better. I'm no longer sick. Pearl, let's chat.
What you have done for us is a miracle, child. You have fulfilled the only dreams we ever had outside our walls. You are a trusted friend of us all. If there is ever a way for us to help you, child, tell me, and I will make it so.
By any chance, would you be willing to assist me in a battle? And I'm not going to tell you what side to do, just sort of do it in general.
Of course, my child. After all that you have done for us, we would love to help you in the upcoming battle. After all the training in virtual reality, the young ones would relish an opportunity to put their skills to battle. We'll be there when you need us.
And you can see there that I've just simultaneously completed the objective that I needed to convince the boomers to work for Mr. House and convince the boomers to work for the NCR. Of course, that's why the game is very vague, because technically I am fulfilling multiple tasks simultaneously. But when it comes to NCR and House and all of that stuff, well, we've got a bit of a decision to make here, the first big faction decision, and I think I know what it's going to be. You see, the thing is, and I know I don't say this very often, this is going to sound very, very odd, New Vegas is not a perfect game. It has some flaws, some very slight errors. They're very small and they're very rare, but they are there. And the way that some of the faction loyalty and quests are calculated towards the end of the game, like right here, is indeed one of those examples. Because you may recall I specifically mentioned, okay, fine, you can do some quests for multiple characters. You can turn them in to multiple different factions and thus kind of double up the amount of XP that you can get. And as we just saw, I can now turn in the boomers to the NCR, and I can also turn in the boomers to House. Except, of course, I kind of can't. Because, basically, that's the third thing I've done for House. The House always wins 3. If you do the third thing that each faction asks you, then all the other factions say, hang on, steady now, let's not do anything too rash. If you go any further with that faction, we're not going to work with you anymore. So this here is the third stage of the questing for both the NCR and for Mr. House. So basically, after I turn this into Mr. House, the game will say, whoa, 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 both the NCR and the Legion are getting upset with you. Do one more thing for House, and the NCR and the Legion will actually both turn on you and refuse to work with you anymore. Now, that creates a small problem I'm going to show off for you right now. Not forgetting, of course, to turn over the snow globe to Jane around the corner there. The problem with the quests is you don't know what the kind of the final quest that you can do, the dangerous quest, the fourth quest, is going to be when you turn in the third quest, meaning you can very easily accidentally lock yourself away from the entire rest of the game without meaning to, by accident. Because often the conversation just flows straight from the third into the fourth, and if you've already accidentally done the fourth, then you get into trouble. So I'm going to show that off now with House. But, of course, we did House back in You Only Live Once. We're not going to be doing the House ending this time. So, spoiler warning, Mr. House is going to be in trouble in a second, but in a slightly fun, unique way.
Well done. The Boomers' firepower may prove an advantage when the battle for Hoover Dam comes around. Your next assignment won't take you far. It concerns the Omertas and their den of vice, Gomorrah. As the decisive encounter between the bull and the bear looms close, my concerns about the Omertas have grown. I've never expected loyalty, mind you. A reliably underhanded tribe is just as constant to deal with as one that always runs true. But that's just it. Lately, the Omertas' cooperative silence has been deafening. Not a single complaint. They're up to something.
So now, the House always wins 4 ticks up. And of course, I can tell him straight away I may know a little something about that, because I've already dealt with the Omertas.
You'll have to be more specific.
And indeed, when the Legion assaults Hoover Dam, the Omertas are going to massacre everyone on the Strip. I already know about that plan. In fact, I've made sure it's going to happen.
And how do you know this?
Why, simply, I kind of helped them perfect their plan. With Speech of 50, you can get around this small problem and say, no, I infiltrated the Omertas in order to gain their confidence.
In that case, I commend you for your initiative. What do you recommend for next steps?
House gives you a couple of options now. You can kind of go down the psychotic murder route or the let's just quietly observe route, but actually it won't make any difference because even if you ask him to do the psychotic route, this happens.
Exactly how many civilians did you want to die in that crossfire? Still, you raise a fair point. My Securitrons can handle this. When the Legion attacks Hoover Dam, I'll be waiting for the Omertas. Your next assignment is to locate and destroy remnants of the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel.
So now we've completed the House Always Wins 4 straight away, and of course the game hasn't flagged up any warnings whatsoever about the fact that we're causing trouble for that's okay. So, the House Always Wins 5 has now just begun, but you may notice Caesar's Legion Infamy has just been gained. And I've just failed Render Unto Caesar. Why? I don't know. It's very confusing. The first time I played New Vegas, I did this by accident. I've also just failed Things That Go Boom. Why? Again, the game is really, really vague. Because during the conversation with House, these quests don't pop up. I only get told about Don't Tread on the Bear after already failing it. The order in which these quests pop up are really, really, really bad. Like, what the game clearly should do is after you've completed the third stage with the boomers, then basically you should be kicked out of the conversation and be given like a little kind of bit of busy work task just to kind of, you know, force you out of the conversation to go somewhere else, just to make sure the game has a really clear chance to say, hey, don't tread on the bear, hey, beware the wrath of Caesar, but it doesn't. Instead, you fail those tasks immediately. In fact, you actually fail them before you get told about them, because the quest is failed and then afterwards it's added. So indeed, if I were to let this stand now, I'd have just locked myself out of both the NCR and the Legion, and all of a sudden a large number of quest things are popping up. Dear, oh dear. So no, we're not going to do that, and that is a real big error by New Vegas, that you can accidentally, without even meaning to, lock yourself away from quests if you just happen to have done the fourth stage before the third. So what we're going to do instead is tell Mr. House about the boomers, but then back out of the conversation before agreeing to anything else. So now, House Always Wins 3 completed. I'll be on my way.
There's a job that needs doing here, and I'm assigning it to you.
No thank you. Please, I don't want it.
I much prefer working with robots.
I have technically picked up the fourth stage of his questing, House Always Wins 4, but I haven't completed it, even though I could just go forward, speak to him and turn it in now. He does let me out of the conversation, but you really have to be quite firm about walking away from the conversation. And I also picked up a little bit of Caesar's Legion Infamy too, just because I've got a bit too far along with Mr. House. And that means now Mr. House has to die, because I can't go any further with him without actually locking away the NCR and the Legion, and I don't want to do that. So, in that case, time to activate this terminal, which you can activate as long as you've got the platinum chip, get down the secret elevator, and kill off Housey. So, be ready, terminal, activate, yes I do. Now just very, very quickly, yep, through here, and over to this terminal, quick as you like. You do get a bit shot doing this. Unlock the control room elevator, yes please. Out we come, and through into the control room. Only took a few little light taps from a Gatling laser there, and none of them follow you. Now, killing House we need to do in a very specific way, however, because there's a little secret achievement in this game for killing House in a particular way. So, activate the terminal here. Let's get good old Housey out of his little cell. Nice. And out the man comes. Beautiful. I like House. How he's just this pitiful rail figure he portrays himself as this massive young head where he kind of chooses his pre-war face. When you actually find him, he's this withered little tiny old man. It's very Wizard of Oz, and I think it's very intentionally Wizard of Oz. And if you've been told to kill him by a particular faction, of course, you can tell him as such. So by Caesar's command, you die. You can tell him it's just business. That's kind of vaguely kind of going along the yes man route, I guess. Or you can just say, I don't like you very much.
Fool! To let personalities derail future of mankind. Stupid!
Time for you to die, I'm afraid, Mr. House.
May there be a hell for you. A Tartarus, bleak, unending.
What a lovely set of final words there. And indeed, I've got a special present for you, Housey. I've got myself a golf club. I brought a 9-iron specially. So, let's just quickly kill him. Sadly, you can't Vats House. I don't really know why. You just kind of can't. He's been crippled. A few more hits should do the job. And that gets me the achievement, A Slave Obeys. Of course, a reference to the first Bioshock. And that gives me 755 XP. You get a lot of XP for A Slave Obeys. It's a really nice little XP dump. It's very, very good indeed. So there you are, Housey. All dead indeed. And there we are. We've failed. The house has gone bust. And all the house quests and diddly diddly dee. And when we step back outside, indeed, the robots will apparently not care. I don't know why the robots don't actually mind, by the way. You'd think they kind of would, but they just don't. I mean, if you had, say, you know, Yes Man standing by to take over the moment House was dead, it would make sense, but you don't. They just sort of like have decided they can't be bothered to avenge House, but alright, fine, never mind. Jane, meanwhile, simply disappears. We don't really know what happens to her. Maybe she and Jack are off crying in the same corner somewhere together. Ambassador Crocker, however, who also wanted me to deal with the Boomer quest, indeed I think actually gave it to me before House did, can be safely talked to, because the next stage that the NCR are going to give me is one that I haven't actually done yet. Yes, indeed, Crocker, the Boomers will totally help us.
That's great. They're going to give us an advantage in the battle ahead. In any event, I have another assignment ready and waiting for you, but we can speak of it later. Rest up, and when you're ready, speak to me again.
And is that not lovely? Things that go boom completed and another mission when we're ready. But would you believe we've got yet another thing we can just turn in now instead? And that is, of course, Caesar wanted House dead, and we have indeed killed House because we've pretty much run out of things we can do with him without locking away a lot of the rest of the game from us. So, let's go and tell Caesar the good news as well. Several weeks later, Otho has indeed finally cleared, well, some of the corpses out of the arena. He kind of came in, swept up most of the corpses, but then decided he couldn't be bothered with the last dog, and also he has left several weapons in here. Good bloody job. Good news, Kaiser. House is indeed dead.
I've read Mr. House's obituary. Had a high opinion of himself, didn't he? With Mr. House out of the way, I can focus on smoothing out a few lingering complications elsewhere in the Mojave. First up are the Boomers of Nellis Air Force Base.
Good news, I happen to have already won over the Boomers and they'll totally do whatever I say.
Is that so? You are good, aren't you? If the Boomers will toe the line, I can focus on other preparations. But not without first rewarding your initiative. Now, moving on. I want you to forge an alliance between Caesar's Legion and the White Glove Society. They used to be cannibals. I expect that information can be used to manipulate them. Go to... Oh, God damn it!
And with Medicine of 40, we can immediately diagnose that he's actually had a sudden onset headache.
Never this bad before. Fuck this. I'm going to lie down. Come back later. Tomorrow.
Oh yes, that's got me up to light with the Legion. Oh, that is perfect. Good. Finally up to flipping light. Good. That is exactly what I wanted to see. That is very, very lucky indeed. However, helping out the Legion has also caused trouble with the NCR, where I've now slipped to being a good-natured rascal. Because that means once again I've completed the third stage of the line of quest for a faction. I've now got up to the 3rd stage completed for the Legion, so the next thing I do for them, the Beyond the Beef quest, would indeed be the 4th stage, and if I do that, the NCR will declare me an enemy and refuse to work with me in any capacity. So just kind of getting up as far as the 3rd stage is enough to get a bit of infamy with them, so I'm no longer idolised with them. I'm a good-natured rascal, but that's fine, that's a lot more good than bad. But more importantly, getting up to light with Caesar's Legion has a very good reward attached that I was worried I wouldn't be able to show off. Because now, if I go and have a quick chat with Lucius...
You've proven yourself to be a true friend of the Legion. We have a safe house available to our agents in the Mojave. Here's the key. It's an excellent place to rest and store extra equipment. In addition, one of our veterans, Atticus, visits the house every few days. While he's there, you can acquire items useful for stealthy operations against our enemies from him.
And he's talking about stealth boys. This is actually a source of infinite free stealth boys, making it very, very useful indeed. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is enough for now. We will go and check out that safe house at the beginning of next part, and then we will head back to the NCR, and I want to pick up with their next mission, because the next mission for the NCR takes us back to Freeside, and I think a lot of people know like 2 of the different mechanisms that can be used to solve that quest, and indeed there are 2 that are very, very well known indeed. But there's a lot more to that quest than a lot of people realise. Some of it is very, very fun. It involves some very big fights that I don't think many players have actually seen before. So, we will crack back into Freeside next time, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been many a TrueNet. This has been Fallout New Vegas Survival Mode with the JSawyer Mod. Thank you very much, and goodbye. We're going to build a large green park as a memorial to the bloody place that wouldn't stop burning down. Oh gosh darn it, the building next door's just catching fire instead. Can I just kind of demolish a church or something to make room for it? Because I will. Then next to the magnificent city hall, a giant statue of me.